Good evening, dear listener. Tonight, I invite you on a gentle journey, a journey to a place where the air is soft, the water whispers to the shore, and every lantern that glows tells a story of peace. This is the tale of the lantern by the lake. The evening air is soft, so soft it almost feels like it's wrapping around you in a warm, gentle hug. The kind of air that carries with it the fading warmth of the day, yet welcomes the cool kiss of night. You stand at the edge of your small wooden cabin. Behind you, the quiet hum of a crackling fire fades as you close the door. Ahead, the forest waits, calm, patient, and full of the comforting scents of pine and earth. The path to the lake begins just a few steps from your door. It's narrow, winding gently between tall trees whose leaves form a natural canopy above. Each leaf is touched by the last golden light of the sun, and that light drips down in thin streams, spilling across the path in shimmering patches. You take your first step forward. Your boots sink slightly into the soft ground. There is a satisfying crunch as dry leaves give way beneath your feet. You notice the sound isn't sharp. It's muffled, as though the forest itself is cushioning every noise. You inhale deeply. The air is rich with the smell of pine needles, freshly fallen leaves, and a faint hint of the lake's water somewhere ahead. That scent, cool, fresh, and clean, brings with it a memory you can't quite place, a memory of summer nights, long ago, when life felt as slow as the drifting clouds. The wind stirs slightly. A single leaf, golden and curled at the edges, floats lazily down in front of you, twisting and spinning until it lands softly on the path. You bend down for a moment, running your fingers across its surface. It's delicate, fragile, yet it carries the strength of having lived through the warmth of summer and the gentle chill of autumn's arrival. You place the leaf back where it fell and continue walking. The deeper you go into the forest, the more the world around you begins to change. The hum of the cabin fades completely. In its place comes the layered music of the woods. Somewhere far above, the branches sway and whisper against each other. Their movements created a soft rustling sound. Closer to the ground, you hear the occasional snap of a twig beneath your step. Blending with the distant call of a nightbird, you slow your pace, not because you need to, but because you want to. Every step, every sound, every scent feels worth noticing. You pass a small patch of moss growing in the shadow of a fallen log. The green is deep, almost glowing in the dimming light. If you reach down, you know it would feel like touching a piece of the softest velvet. To your left, a narrow stream cuts across the forest floor. Its water moves lazily, barely breaking the surface tension. You step closer, watching the way tiny ripples catch the last flickers of sunlight. The air here feels cooler, more still. The scent of water is stronger now, almost as if the lake is just beyond the next bend in the path. You continue walking, your eyes adjusting as the light shifts from warm gold to a softer blue. The forest seems to grow quieter with each step, as though it knows night is approaching and is preparing to rest. Then, you see it. A small gap in the trees ahead, a promise of open space and the first glimpse of the lake. But you don't rush. You let yourself savor the approach. The anticipation, the way the air changes just before you step out from the shelter of the trees. You take one more deep breath, and another slow step forward. You step slowly toward that narrow gap in the trees. The trunks here are thicker, older. Their bark is rough, with deep grooves that tell stories of decades of wind, rain, and sunlight. Some have moss climbing halfway up their sides, tiny green carpets that look soft enough to rest your head upon. A squirrel darts across the path ahead, its fur a mix of warm brown and silver gray. It pauses for a moment, its small paws gripping a pine cone, before disappearing into the undergrowth with a flick of its tail. You can hear the faint flutter of wings somewhere above you. Looking up, you spot a bird, small, with feathers the color of fading sunlight, settling onto a branch. It tilts its head, as if studying you for a brief moment before it begins to clean its wings, its beak moving with delicate precision. The forest floor here is uneven. Roots twist up from the soil like the fingers of some ancient sleeping giant. You step carefully, feeling the give of the earth beneath your boots. Every few steps you pause just to listen. There is no rush, only the quiet rhythm of the woods. Far in the distance, you think you hear the soft lap of water against a shore, but it's faint, as if it's calling to you from a dream. The air grows cooler still. You notice the way your breath begins to cloud slightly in front of you, just a faint mist that vanishes as quickly as it appears. A cluster of wildflowers catches your eye near the base of a tall cedar. Their petals are pale, almost white, but the fading light gives them a hint of lavender. You crouch down, running your fingers lightly across one of the blooms. It feels like silk, delicate, fragile, yet still alive in this changing season. You stay there for a moment longer, listening to the gentle creak of the cedar swaying above you. Then, with a soft exhale, you rise and continue along the path. The gap in the trees is closer now. Through it, you can see the faint shimmer of something, not yet the full view of the lake, but a promise of its still waters reflecting the evening sky. A gentle wind stirs, carrying with it a new scent, the unmistakable freshness of open water mixed with the earthy smell of damp soil. It fills your lungs, making you feel awake and deeply at peace at the same time. You run your fingertips along the rough bark of a passing tree as you walk. The texture is rugged beneath your skin, each ridge and groove unique, a record of time carved slowly over years. The light is fading faster now. That deep, magical blue of twilight begins to settle in, softening the edges of the world around you. Shadows stretch longer, and the trees begin to take on darker, more mysterious shapes. A single firefly flickers just ahead, its tiny glow bright against the dim forest. It blinks once, twice, then drifts slowly upward before disappearing into the branches. You take another step, and another. The gap is almost here. You can see the outline of the shore through the trees. But you stop. You just stand there for a moment, listening, breathing, feeling the weight of the quiet wrap around you like a warm blanket. The forest is holding its breath, and so are you. You take a final slow step through the gap in the trees. And there it is, the lake. It stretches wide and calm before you, its surface so still it looks like a sheet of polished glass. The last traces of sunlight kiss the horizon, turning the sky into a soft blend of violet and rose. Above, the first stars have begun to appear, tiny specks of light shimmering in the deepening blue. A few feet ahead, the narrow path meets a small wooden pier. It juts out gently into the water, its planks weathered and faded, each one carrying the quiet marks of years spent under sun, rain, and moonlight. And there, at the very end of the pier, sits a lantern. Its light is not harsh, not bright like the glare of the midday sun. Instead, it glows with a soft golden warmth, the kind of light that feels alive, as though it breathes in rhythm with the night. You step closer, your boots making a muted thud on the old wood. The sound echoes softly over the water, fading into the stillness. The lantern flickers gently, casting small ripples of gold across the lake's surface. Each flicker seems to dance with the movement of the water, creating patterns that shift and change with every passing second. You pause halfway down the pier, resting your hand on the smooth, rounded post of the railing. The wood is cool beneath your fingers and faintly damp with the evening mist. The scent of the lake is stronger here, a clean, almost sweet freshness that fills your lungs and makes your shoulders relax without you even realizing it. The only sounds are the soft lap of water against the pier and the faint hum of crickets somewhere along the shore. You take another step, and another, until you are standing just beside the lantern. It sits in a small metal frame, its glass panels slightly fogged from the cool night air. Inside, the flame moves lazily, its light steady yet alive. You crouch down to look closer. The metal is etched with faint patterns, curves and swirls that look like waves. Your fingertips brush over them, and you wonder who made this lantern, and how long it has stood here, welcoming anyone who finds their way to the pier. For a moment, you do nothing but breathe in the calm. The lake stretches out endlessly before you, its surface holding the reflection of the night sky as if it were a second universe waiting just beneath the water. You lower yourself slowly onto the pier, the wooden planks warm where the lantern's glow touches them and cool in the shadows just beyond. You sit cross-legged, your body sinking into a comfortable stillness. The lantern is only a few inches away, and you can feel the faint heat radiating from its glass. The flame inside sways gently, responding to the soft night breeze. Every movement of that flame sends shifting patterns of light across your hands, your legs, and the weathered boards beneath you. You glance out across the water. The lake is so calm that it feels less like water and more like a mirror, holding a perfect reflection of the sky above. The stars seem to float in its depths, and the crescent moon glimmers like a silver coin resting on its surface. You lean forward slightly, resting your elbows on your knees, and just listen. The soundscape is simple, yet endlessly rich. The gentle lap of water against the pier's supports, the faint creak of the wood beneath your weight, and the quiet hum of night insects in the distance. Somewhere far off, a fish breaks the surface with a soft splash, sending ripples out in slow, widening circles until they fade back into stillness. You close your eyes for a moment, letting your mind drift with the rhythm of the lake. In that darkness, you imagine the lantern's glow surrounding you completely, like a warm cocoon in the cool night air. The breeze shifts slightly, bringing with it the faint scent of wildflowers from the forest, mixed with the clean, crisp fragrance of open water. You breathe it in deeply, filling your lungs until you feel a satisfying fullness, then let it out slowly, as if releasing every thought and worry you carried here. Your hand moves almost without thought to the small metal handle at the top of the lantern. It's smooth and cool to the touch, a sharp contrast to the warmth radiating from within. For a moment, you consider lifting it, perhaps to carry it with you, to see how its light dances across the lake. But you stop. Somehow, you know the lantern belongs here, anchored to this pier, welcoming all who find their way. You rest your hands in your lap, allowing the quiet to settle into your bones. Time here doesn't move the way it does elsewhere. It stretches, softens, slows to match the steady pulse of the lake. The lantern flickers again, and in its light, you notice something. Just beyond the pier, a small wooden boat is tied to one of the posts, its sides gently knocking against the wood with the movement of the water. It waits there silently, as if it has been expecting you. You rise slowly from where you've been sitting, your knees brushing against the warm wood of the pier one last time. The lantern glows beside you, steady and sure, its light spilling across the edge of the pier and touching the waiting boat. The boat is small, just large enough for 1 or 2 people. Its paint faded from years in the sun and rain. The edges are smooth, polished not by tools, but by time and water. You step toward it, each movement unhurried, feeling the pier shift gently beneath your weight. When you reach the rope tied to the post, you notice it is thick and slightly rough beneath your fingers, its fibers soft in some places where they've been worn smooth. You untie the knot slowly, watching the boat drift a few inches away from the pier before the rope slackens in your hand. The water sways it gently, a cradle rocking with the steady heartbeat of the lake. You lower yourself into the boat with care, one foot on the side, then the other, and finally settling into the worn wooden seat in the center. The boat dips slightly under your weight, then rights itself, floating easily in the still water. The lantern's glow stretches out across the lake, its reflection shimmering and breaking into golden ripples every time the boat moves. You place the lantern carefully near the bow, its light now leading the way into the open water. Your hands find the oars, smooth, cool, and faintly smelling of cedar. You lift them into the oarlocks, the faint creak of metal against wood echoing in the quiet night. With your first gentle pull, the boat glides forward. The water parts beneath you without resistance, closing again silently behind. Each stroke is slow and steady, not meant for speed, but for feeling the way the lake responds to your movement. The sounds here are even softer than at the pier. There's no creak of boards now, only the quiet splash of oars dipping into the lake and the occasional whisper of the breeze across your cheek. The air feels different out here, more open, more free. It carries the cool touch of the water and the faint sweetness of the night-blooming flowers along the shore. You glance behind you. The pier, with its lone lantern, is already beginning to grow smaller, its light becoming just one more golden star among the hundreds in the night sky. You pull the oars through the water again, slow, even strokes that send the boat forward with barely a sound. Each movement feels effortless, as though the lake itself is carrying you deeper into its heart. The lantern rests at the bow, its warm glow spilling out in a soft halo over the water ahead. The reflection stretches like a golden ribbon, shimmering with every small ripple your boat makes. You pause for a moment, letting the oars rest loosely in your hands. The boat drifts on its own now, carried by the faintest of currents. Looking down into the water, you see the reflection of the sky, not just the stars, but the pale silver crescent of the moon and the deep, velvety blue of night itself. It's so clear that for a moment you feel as though you are floating between two worlds, the one above you and the one below. The air here is cooler than on shore. It brushes gently across your face, carrying the faint scent of the lake mixed with something sweet, perhaps the flowers that grow unseen along the far banks. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the soft call of a loon, its voice carrying over the water like a gentle echo. You pause to listen, and the sound comes again, low and drawn out, as if it too is in no hurry to fade. The boat glides past a patch of lily pads, their round green leaves resting on the surface like tiny islands. You see a single white flower among them, its petals still open despite the hour, glowing faintly in the lantern light. You dip an oar into the water again, just enough to guide yourself gently around the lilies. The motion sends small ripples outward, and you watch them spread in perfect circles until they disappear into the vast stillness. The world here feels so quiet, so untouched, that you almost forget there is anything beyond this lake. No roads, no voices, no rush, just you, the water, the night, and the lantern's steady glow. You take another deep breath, filling your lungs completely before letting it go in a long, slow sigh. Each time you exhale, it feels as though something heavy inside you is lifting, dissolving, drifting away into the night. The boat moves farther from shore, the pier now a faint memory behind you. Ahead, the water opens into a wide, endless expanse. The lake's surface is unbroken, stretching until it blends seamlessly with the sky. It is here, in the center of this stillness, that you decide to stop rowing altogether. You pull the oars in, resting them across your lap, and allow the boat to drift. The only sound now is the faint lapping of water against the sides of the boat and the soft hum of the lantern's flame. The boat drifts, moving so slowly that it feels almost still. You rest your hands on your knees, your gaze fixed on the vast open water around you. Here, far from the shore, the lake is a perfect mirror. Every star above is doubled, one in the sky and one shimmering softly in the water below. It's hard to tell where the heavens end and the lake begins. The lantern's glow reaches only a short distance, leaving the rest of the lake bathed in silver light from the moon. The contrast is beautiful, a small circle of golden warmth surrounded by an endless field of cool, silvery calm. You lean back slightly, tilting your head to take in the sky. The stars seem brighter here, far from any village or road. Some are faint, delicate pinpricks of light. Others burn more brightly, casting a soft radiance that feels almost close enough to touch. A thin wisp of cloud drifts lazily across the moon, its edges glowing pale against the darkness. It moves with the kind of slowness that makes you feel as though time itself has softened. The night air carries a gentle hush, not silence exactly, but a deep, steady quiet that feels like the world holding its breath. Even the water is still, as though the lake has decided to pause and simply exist in this perfect moment. Somewhere far away, you catch the faint splash of a fish breaking the surface. It's a small, quick sound, and then the ripples fade, leaving the water smooth once more. You draw your knees closer, wrapping your arms loosely around them. The wood of the boat is cool beneath your palms, and the faint rocking motion feels like the slow, rhythmic sway of a cradle. For a long time, you simply watch the stars. You follow their patterns, tracing familiar constellations, Orion with his belt, the Big Dipper dipping its ladle into the silver lake, and the soft curve of Cassiopeia's throne. The longer you look, the more stars appear, as though the night sky is slowly opening to reveal all of its hidden treasures. A thought comes to you, quiet, gentle, like a whisper carried on the breeze. Perhaps every star you see is a lantern of its own, glowing far away, guiding someone else through their night. You lower your gaze from the endless canopy of stars and look back to the lake's surface. It is here, on this still open water, that the sky and the earth seem to have joined hands. The reflection is so perfect that you feel as though the boat is floating not on water, but on the night sky itself. The lantern's golden light shimmers across the ripples near you. But beyond that circle of warmth, the water turns silver blue under the moon's gaze. Each star glitters softly on its surface, tiny points of light that shift and dance whenever a gentle breeze stirs the water. You dip your fingers into the lake, and the ripples spread outward, bending the stars, making them waver and sway. For a moment, it feels as if you are touching the heavens, altering the constellations with nothing more than a gentle movement of your hand. The cool water slides smoothly across your skin, a soft contrast to the crisp night air. When you pull your hand back, droplets cling to your fingertips, catching the lantern's glow before they fall quietly back into the lake. You close your eyes for a few seconds, allowing the quiet to wrap around you like a thick, warm blanket. In that stillness, your heartbeat seems slower, deeper, as if it too has found the rhythm of the lake. Somewhere overhead, an owl calls out, a long, low sound that echoes faintly over the water. It comes once, then again, before fading into the distance. The call is not alarming. It's part of the night's song, blending with the chirp of crickets and the soft sigh of the breeze. You open your eyes again. The moon has risen higher now, casting a wide path of light across the lake. It stretches from the distant horizon all the way toward your drifting boat, as if it's inviting you to follow. You breathe in deeply, the cool, clean scent of the lake filling your lungs. When you exhale, you notice how your breath seems to disappear into the open air, joining the mist that hangs faintly above the water. Every part of you feels lighter. The heaviness of the day, the noise of the world, it all seems far away, almost forgotten. And as you drift here, surrounded by stars both above and below, you begin to feel a gentle pull within yourself, a quiet longing to see what other wonders this night on the lake might hold. You rest your hands lightly on the edges of the boat, letting it drift wherever the faint current wishes to take you. The world feels wide, yet safe, as though the lake itself has become a private universe, a place where nothing can hurry you. Your eyes wander across the expanse, taking in the endless shimmer of moonlight and starlight. The silence is not empty. It is full of gentle sounds that arrive only when the world slows enough to hear them. And then, you notice something different. Far away, near the opposite shore, a faint light appears. Not a star, not the moon, but something warmer, softer, glowing just above the water's surface. It moves slowly, drifting as if it were a leaf caught on the lake's gentle breath. A moment later, another light appears beside it, then another and another. You straighten slightly, your heartbeat quickening, not from fear, but from a quiet, rising curiosity. The lights seem to be coming from somewhere along the far bank, and as you watch, you realize what they are. Lanterns. Dozens of them. Small paper lanterns, each cradling a tiny flame, released into the water to float freely under the night sky. They glide slowly toward the center of the lake, their warm glow reflecting on the water in golden threads. Some drift alone, others in small clusters, turning gently with the movement of the lake. From this distance, they look like stars that have fallen from the heavens and chosen the water as their resting place. The sight pulls you forward. You reach for the oars again, your movements unhurried, careful not to disturb the stillness. With each stroke, you draw closer to the approaching lanterns. The closer you come, the more details you see, the delicate folds of the paper, the way the flame within each one dances softly, never fighting the night, only adding to its calm beauty. And with each lantern you pass, you feel as if it carries something unseen, perhaps a wish, a memory, or a quiet prayer sent out into the world. The lake is no longer only silver and gold. It has become a moving constellation, a meeting of sky and water, light and reflection, dream and reality. You row slowly into the midst of them, your boat surrounded now by this gentle parade of light. The oars rest quietly in the boat now, their tips still dripping with beads of lake water that fall in slow, measured drops. Plip, 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 back into the dark surface below. You are no longer rowing. The current is so soft here that you barely notice it moving, yet it gently carries you forward, guiding you deeper into the heart of the glowing lanterns. They surround you completely now, to your left, to your right, drifting behind you, gathering ahead of you. Each one moves at its own pace, their paths never hurried, never colliding, as though the lake itself is guiding their gentle dance. The paper of each lantern is delicate, folded into perfect shapes, some round like small moons, others square with edges that catch the light. The thin frames are made from slender bamboo strips, barely visible beneath the soft golden glow of the flames inside. You lean slightly over the side of the boat, watching one pass close enough to touch. Its flame sways slowly, casting a shifting pattern across your hand and painting your skin in warm amber tones. The reflection of the lantern in the water is just as vivid, though the image trembles with every tiny ripple that moves across the surface. For a moment, you feel caught between two lanterns, the one above the water and the one below, as if the real and the reflected are equally alive. You notice the scent in the air has changed. The breeze carries a faint trace of something floral, light and sweet, like jasmine in the early hours of the evening. It mixes with the fresh scent of the lake, creating an aroma so gentle that you find yourself breathing in more deeply, just to hold it a moment longer. Some lanterns pass so near that you can hear the faintest sound of their paper shifting. A soft, almost whisper-like crackle, barely louder than the brush of a sleeve. You tilt your head back, looking at the night sky once more. It is almost impossible to tell where the stars end and the lanterns begin. Some float in the heavens, some on the water, but all seem part of the same quiet constellation that now surrounds you completely. And in this moment, You feel it. A deep, resonant calm that sinks into your bones. A sense that you are exactly where you are meant to be, and that the night has been waiting just for you. The boat glides forward with barely a sound, its gentle rocking in rhythm with the slow drift of the lanterns. You do not need to steer. The lake itself seems to know the way, guiding you as if it wants you to see something waiting ahead. You trail your fingertips through the water. The ripples spread out, touching the nearest lantern, and for a brief moment, its reflection wavers like a dream disturbed by the lightest breath. The glow of the flames feels alive, not like the cold, distant stars above, but warm, breathing, as though each one carries the quiet heartbeat of a wish. Somewhere deep inside, you imagine each lantern holding a message, a memory, a hope, a promise whispered into the paper before it was set free. You wonder who released them and what dreams they might be carrying. The air here is stiller than before. Even the sounds of crickets and distant birds have faded. It is as if the lake has chosen silence, so that you may hear only the soft conversation between water and flame. Ahead, you notice that the lanterns begin to move in a single direction, drawn by a subtle current. They are all gliding toward a darker stretch of the shoreline, where tall reeds sway gently against the night sky. There is something different about that place. From this distance, it looks like an opening, a small break in the dense growth along the lake's edge. The lanterns seem to slip inside one by one, their light vanishing softly into the shadows. Curiosity stirs in you. You lift the oars and give the boat the faintest push, aligning yourself with their path. The movement is almost imperceptible, but it's enough to let the current carry you where the lanterns are going. The closer you come, the more details you begin to see. The tall grasses shifting in the breeze, the glint of water moving between them, and the faint glimmer of a few lanterns still visible within the darkness beyond. The air changes here. It smells richer, with hints of damp earth and the sweet green scent of freshwater plants. You can hear a new sound, too. The soft, delicate trickle of water flowing somewhere deeper inside. You realize this is not just another part of the shore. This is an entrance, a hidden passage the lake has kept from plain sight, and the lanterns are leading you there. Your boat drifts closer to the reeds, the tall, slender stalks swaying slowly, their tips brushing against each other with a faint, whispering sound. The opening between them is narrow, just wide enough for the lanterns to slip through, and now, for you. You lower your head slightly as you enter, the shadows wrapping around you like a cool, soft curtain. The light of the moon fades behind the wall of reeds, and for a few moments the only glow comes from the lanterns floating ahead. Inside, the air feels different, cooler still, and laced with the earthy scent of damp soil and the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers. The water here is calmer than anywhere else on the lake. It moves so slowly that the lantern reflections are almost perfect, like golden blossoms resting on black glass. You let the boat drift without a sound, watching as the reeds give way to a sheltered space, a hidden cove. It's smaller than the open lake, but the stillness here feels deeper, more intimate. The trees along the shore lean inward, their branches hanging low, almost touching the water. Some are adorned with strands of moss that sway gently in the night air. Fireflies flit among the branches, their tiny flashes of light weaving in and out of the darkness, as though they are tiny guardians of this secret place. The lanterns continue their journey into the cove, fanning out in quiet clusters. Some settle near the edges, their glow painting the overhanging leaves in soft gold. Others drift lazily toward the center, their light mingling together to create a warm, shimmering pool of color on the water. Somewhere deeper within the cove, you hear the faint sound of water flowing. Not a rushing stream, but the gentle trickle of a spring feeding the lake. It is steady, like the heartbeat of this hidden sanctuary. You take a slow breath, and in that moment, you realize this place feels untouched, as though it has been here for centuries, waiting quietly for those who can find it. The current is barely moving now. Your boat glides into the very heart of the cove, surrounded by the floating lanterns and the soft, living glow of fireflies. For a long while, you simply sit in silence, letting the magic of this place settle into you. You let your hands rest in your lap, feeling the gentle sway of the boat as it floats in the center of the cove. The air here feels thick with quiet, not heavy, but layered. Layered with the fragrance of moss and wet bark, the faint perfume of unseen blossoms, and the cool mineral scent of the spring feeding the lake. You look upward. The branches above arch toward each other, forming a natural canopy. The spaces between the leaves are narrow, but just wide enough for the stars to peek through, scattering silver light in tiny, shifting shapes. Some of that light falls on the lanterns around you. Others are lit entirely by their own inner glow, the gold of their flames rich and steady against the night. They move so slowly that it feels as though time itself has been lulled into stillness. Every now and then, a firefly drifts close, hovering for a moment beside a lantern, its tiny green light blending with the warm gold before it flits away into the shadows. You trail your fingers in the water again. It is cool here, cooler than in the open lake, as if the spring within the cove has touched it with a breath of mountain air. The ripples spread gently, bending the reflections of the lanterns, making them look like melting suns sliding across liquid glass. Somewhere near the far edge of the cove, you hear that faint trickle again, water sliding over smooth stone, slipping quietly into the lake. It is a sound so soft that you almost have to lean forward to hear it clearly, but once you notice it, it becomes part of the rhythm of the place. And then, you feel the first hint of change. A breeze stirs, not strong, but enough to ripple the water and make the lantern flames sway slightly. The leaves above rustle, and in that sound you hear a softer patter, like tiny fingertips tapping the surface of the lake. At first, you wonder if it's just the reeds brushing together, but then you see it. Small, perfect circles appearing in the water, each one catching the light of a lantern before spreading outward and fading. Rain, the gentlest rain you can imagine. The first drops are so light that they hardly seem to fall at all. They drift through the air slowly, almost lazily, before settling on the lake with the faintest of sounds, a whisper, softer than a sigh. You tilt your head back, and a single cool drop lands on your cheek, sliding gently down toward your jaw. It carries with it the freshness of the night sky, as if the clouds themselves have released a breath they've been holding all evening. Around you, the lantern flames flicker in greeting, their light trembling just enough to notice, but never faltering. Each droplet that falls into the lake creates a perfect circle, spreading outward until it meets another, merging, then disappearing back into stillness. The sound builds slowly, a quiet patter against the water, a soft tapping on the leaves above, the gentle hiss of droplets brushing across the wooden sides of the boat. It is not the kind of rain that hides the world in noise. It is the kind that reveals the world's softer edges. You close your eyes for a moment. The air is cooler now, carrying a faint scent of rain-soaked earth and fresh water. You breathe it in deeply, feeling it settle in your chest like a calm that has weight, anchoring you in this moment. The fireflies seem unaffected, still moving lazily between branches, their lights glowing like tiny moving stars. Every so often, one drifts so close to a raindrop that the light bends inside the droplet before it falls into the lake. You open your hands and let the rain touch your palms. It is cool at first, but the longer you hold it, the more it feels like an extension of the lake itself, as though the sky and the water are greeting each other in small, gentle touches. The oars, resting at your sides, glisten faintly under the lantern light, each drop sliding down their length before disappearing into the water. Above, the leaves collect the rain for a moment, then release it in soft, irregular streams, like tiny waterfalls cascading from branch to branch. Every splash, every ripple feels perfectly in place, part of the cove's own secret lullaby. The rain falls a little steadier now, each drop making its own small mark on the lake's surface before disappearing into the quiet expanse. Yet, even with this change, there is no urgency, only the slow, measured rhythm of the night. The lanterns seem to glow more warmly under the rain, their paper dampened slightly, but holding strong, their flames unwavering. The light reflects in the ripples, turning every drop that falls into a fleeting spark before it fades back into the water. You watch the patterns, the way circles of rain meet the curves of ripples from your boat, interweaving like a soft tapestry that is woven and undone in the same moment. The scent in the air deepens, earthier now, with the rich perfume of wet wood from the pier somewhere in the distance, and the green freshness of the reeds that frame the cove. It is a scent that feels like it belongs here, unchanged for 100 years. You take a slow breath, letting the damp night air fill your lungs. The chill is gentle, the kind that makes you pull your shoulders in slightly and lean toward the warmth of the lantern. A droplet slides from your hair down to the corner of your eye, not stinging, but reminding you that the rain has truly joined you on this journey. It feels less like weather and more like a companion, a quiet traveler that has decided to drift alongside you for a while. The sound of the spring in the cove is still there, soft and constant, but now it blends perfectly with the rainfall. Together, they create a harmony so natural that you find yourself wishing you could listen to it forever. Slowly, you lift the oars again. The movement sends small ripples across the rain-marked surface, disturbing the perfect circles for just a moment before they smooth themselves out again. You give a gentle push, turning the boat toward the opening in the reeds. It's time to return, though the cove feels reluctant to let you go. The lanterns ahead seem to guide you once more, drifting in the same direction, leading you back toward the open lake. Their glow, combined with the soft silver of the rain-lit moon, creates a path of light that seems to point home. The sound of the rain follows you as you leave the shelter of the cove. Out on the open water again, the lake greets you with a wider view of the night sky, the clouds now touched with faint light where the moon tries to break through, and there, far ahead, you see it, the faint, welcoming glow of the pier's lantern. The rain falls in a steady, soft rhythm now, its sound mingling with the faint splash of the oars as you guide the boat across the open water. Each stroke is slow, unhurried, a conversation between you and the lake. The lantern at the bow glows warmly, its light breaking through the gentle curtain of rain, casting golden ripples that stretch out ahead of you. Beyond its reach, the world is painted in silver and shadow. The moon's glow blurred by clouds, the stars softened into a hazy shimmer. The lake feels different here than it did on the journey out. There is movement now, not a strong current, but the subtle push of water shifting beneath the touch of the rain. It rocks the boat gently from side to side, as though cradling you home. The air is cooler, but the coolness is clean, alive with the scent of fresh rain on open water. You breathe it in deeply, letting it fill your chest before releasing it in a slow exhale that seems to melt every last trace of tension from your body. Ahead, the pier's lantern glows brighter, its light a steady beacon against the soft blur of the rain. Each time the boat rises slightly with a ripple, the lantern seems to lift too, welcoming you closer. You notice the way the raindrops land on the lake's surface. Tiny silver sparks in the moonlight, each one vanishing into a ripple that spreads until it touches another, then another, until the whole surface feels alive with quiet movement. Somewhere off to the side, a single fish leaps briefly above the surface, its body catching the lantern light for a heartbeat before disappearing again into the dark water. The splash is small, but it lingers in the stillness of the night. Your strokes grow slower as you near the pier, not from weariness, but because you are reluctant for the journey to end. The sound of the rain on the wooden boards is faint but clear now, a soft patter that blends with the rhythmic tap of droplets on the sides of your boat. The glow of the pier's lantern reflects on the water, stretching toward you like an open hand. And as you draw closer, the gentle creak of the pier in the rain feels like a familiar voice calling you home. The boat drifts the last few feet toward the pier, the oars resting now across your lap. You let the gentle push of the water and the pull of the faint current carry you the rest of the way. The pier's lantern glows steadily above you, its golden light spilling down onto the wet wood, where raindrops glisten like scattered gems. The soft patter of rain on the boards is louder here, each drop adding its own quiet note to the lake's nighttime song. You reach for the mooring post, the wet rope cool and rough against your palm. It smells faintly of the lake, a mix of fresh water, moss, and something old, like sun-warmed wood after a summer storm. The boat knocks gently against the pier, a muted thud that feels like a final handshake between the lake and your small vessel. You tie the rope with slow, practiced movements, making sure the boat will rest safely until morning. The rain clings to your hair, to your sleeves, to the faint outline of your shoulders. But there is no chill in it, only the refreshing embrace of a night that seems to have claimed you as part of itself. You lift the lantern from the bow, its base warm in your hands. The flame within wavers slightly as you rise, but stays strong, casting long shadows along the boards as you step onto the pier. The wood creaks softly under your weight, its sound a comfort, a reminder that this path has carried you many times before. Behind you, the lake stretches into the rain-muted distance, the floating lanterns now only faint glows slipping back into the darkness. You turn toward the shore. The short path from the pier to your cabin is framed by tall grasses and the faint outline of the forest beyond. The rain falls gently on the leaves, and the soft hiss of it guides you forward. Each step you take toward the cabin feels like returning to a place that is both home and sanctuary, a space warmed by the memory of firelight and the promise of rest. The narrow path from the pier curves gently upward, its edges lined with rain-darkened grass. Each step you take presses softly into the damp earth, leaving faint impressions that will vanish by morning. The rain follows you, tapping gently on the leaves overhead. In the dim light of your lantern, each droplet glimmers briefly before sliding down to join the others in the quiet soil below. Your cabin appears slowly through the trees, a modest shape of warm wood and stone, its roof dark with the sheen of rain. Through the single front window, a faint orange glow escapes, spilling out onto the wet ground like an unspoken welcome. As you approach the door, the smell reaches you first. Wood smoke, faintly sweet from the pine logs in the hearth. It wraps around you like the embrace of a familiar blanket, warm and grounding after the cool touch of the rain. You step onto the small porch, the boards slick beneath your boots, and pause for a moment beneath the shelter of the overhanging roof. The sound of the rain changes here, softer, muffled, as it patters against the shingles above. Pushing the door open, you are met with the gentle crackle of the fire. The light inside is golden, casting long shadows across the walls and dancing softly on the polished wooden floor. You set the lantern on a small table near the door, its flame joining the fire's glow in filling the room with warmth. The air is thick with the scent of burning pine and the faint aroma of tea leaves that linger from earlier in the evening. A chair sits close to the hearth, its cushions worn but comfortable. The fire pops softly, a small burst of sound that breaks the steady hum of the rain outside. You remove your damp coat and hang it on the wooden peg by the door. A faint steam rises from its surface as the heat of the room begins to touch it. Then you step toward the chair, the floor creaking in a familiar, welcoming way beneath your feet. You lower yourself into the chair, its cushions sinking gently beneath your weight, holding you as though they've been waiting all night for your return. The fabric is warm from its place near the fire, and the moment you settle in, your body releases a long, slow sigh you didn't even know you'd been holding. The flames in the hearth dance in lazy waves, their light painting the walls in shifting patterns of gold and shadow. Each log burns with its own quiet voice. The soft hiss of sap, the occasional pop as a small ember breaks free, floating upward before fading into the air. Beside you, on a small wooden table, a teapot sits waiting, its sides still faintly warm to the touch. You lift the lid and breathe in the scent of chamomile, its floral sweetness deepened by a hint of honey. Pouring the tea into a mug, you watch the steam curl upward, twisting like tiny ghosts of warmth into the cool air above. The rain continues outside, its sound softened now by the thick walls of the cabin. It's no longer a constant patter. Instead, it comes in gentle waves, rising and falling like the rhythm of a lullaby. You sip the tea slowly. It is warm and smooth, its flavor settling into you like a quiet reassurance that everything in this moment is exactly as it should be. Your gaze drifts toward the window. Beyond the glass, the world is a blur of rain and shadows, but every so often you catch the faint glimmer of the pier's lantern still burning in the distance, its light steady even in the rain. The warmth of the fire seeps deeper into you, loosening your shoulders, slowing your thoughts. The crackle of the flames, the rhythmic sigh of the rain, and the lingering taste of chamomile all weave together into a perfect, quiet harmony. You set the mug down on the table, its last tendrils of steam rising as you lean back into the chair. Your eyelids grow heavy, not from exhaustion, but from the deep calm that has settled over you. And in that gentle haze, the thought of bed begins to call, softly, persistently, like the pull of a dream waiting to be entered. You rise slowly from the chair, your body moving with the unhurried grace that comes when there is nothing left to rush for. The fire hums quietly behind you, its warmth lingering on your back as you make your way toward the small bedroom. The floorboards under your feet are warm here, having soaked in the heat from the fire all evening. Each creak beneath your step feels familiar, a soft, homely sound that belongs only to nights like this. The bedroom is dim, lit only by the faint golden glow of the lantern you carried from the pier. You set it gently on the bedside table, its light spilling softly across the quilt that covers the bed in deep, comforting folds. The scent of clean linen greets you as you pull back the covers. It carries the faintest trace of lavender, and something about it reminds you of quiet summers long past, evenings when the air was warm and still, and sleep came easily. You slip beneath the quilt, the fabric cool at first, then quickly warming to match your body. The weight of it is perfect, light enough to let you move freely, but heavy enough to anchor you to the present moment. Outside, the rain has softened again, its steady rhythm a gentle percussion that lulls your thoughts into slower patterns. You can still hear the occasional whisper of the wind in the trees, but it feels far away now, a voice you no longer need to answer. The lantern's light flickers once, then steadies, its warm glow mingling with the shadows on the walls. Your eyes follow the patterns for a moment, but soon even that is too much effort. Your breathing deepens, matching the quiet rise and fall of the night around you. Each exhale carries away the last threads of the day, unraveling them until nothing remains but the softness of the bed and the warmth that holds you. The fire crackles one last time in the other room, and you feel it. The final easing of every muscle, the way your mind drifts toward the edge of sleep as though the lake itself is carrying you again, rocking you gently, without hurry, without end. And then, you let go. The lantern's glow fades into the darkness behind your closed eyes, and the rain becomes the last thing you hear as you slip quietly into dreams.